Hey there, and welcome to week 5. I am excited to share this content with you, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So, let me share a brief overview of what to expect this week. Our focus this week is exploring portrayals of disability in the media. We'll also explore disability identity and culture. We're going to look at inclusion through a really critical lens. We're going to explore the tension of inclusion, and we'll look at access. And finally, we'll look at disability justice. Okay, so this week you're going to finish My Body Politic, and you have several readings to help you meet the objectives for this week. And so these first two pieces around inspiration porn and the white paper are helping look at portrayals of disability in the media. We're going to start to look at disability identity and specifically read this piece from a disability studies reader textbook around autism as culture. Then we're going to complicate inclusion. So you might hear frequently that inclusion is the North Star for the disability community. If you think about as a university, our mission is around diversity and inclusion. Now, this piece by David Morstadt complicates the notion of inclusion, where we think about inclusion not as necessarily the end-all be-all, but something that can be really complicated. And specifically the message that we get from inclusion is, this is our group, but we will let you in. And so with inclusion, there's a group within power, whoever the majority is. If we're thinking about in a disability studies context, that would be folks within the non-disabled community who have more power, right? And are saying, this is our group, but we will let you in. So that's the message that the disability community gets with inclusion. And rather, the disability community says, that's not our North Star. We don't want to be invited to the table, but rather we want to build the table together. And for us, that is access. And so I'd like for you to read all of these really lovely pieces around a movement in the disabled community called Access is Love. And so these three scholars, Mia Mingus, Sandy Ho, and Alice Wong, have started this movement called Access is Love. And it was sparked by a keynote address that Mia Mingus gave at a Disability International Summit a few years ago, where she talks about justice is just another term for love. And so that's really sparked sort of this movement around access. And similarly, how access is the North Star for the disability community, so is disability justice. And so if we think about how inclusion is more rooted in disability rights, right? So giving individuals the right to, kind of thinking about Simi's hand and fist, the right to participate in society. Access is more all-encompassing of social models of disability, where the onus is on society rather. And so thinking about how we can create and expand access, so is where disability rights is grounded in inclusion, disability justice is grounded in true access, where it's not just inviting someone to the table, but truly building the table together. And that's our North Star. That's where we're hoping to go. And to do so, we need to do that in a way that's guided by the disability community. You've watched some pieces by Patty Byrne. She has an advocacy group named Sins Invalid. And so she has offered here 10 principles of disability justice. And so I'd like for you to review those and really think about ways that you can apply those to your own life and your future work. The Access is Love group, Alice Wong has a really wonderful website called the Disability Visibility Project. And so she has linked in that Access is Love site 10 ways to start creating access. And I'd like for you to read and really explore these, because they're things that aren't necessarily very difficult things, but maybe just things that we haven't thought about or just haven't been aware of. So minor things like adding image descriptions to or alternative text to your social media posts, making sure that you capitalize each word in hashtags to make sure that they're accessible to screen readers. So software that reads print or text out loud. All right, and then there's a link if you would rather, the Mia Mingus piece that I was talking about, there's a link if you would rather read her keynote address, or you can watch her deliver it here in the third video that I have linked. This first video is a piece by Stella Young. It's a really powerful piece. I think this is the place to start for this module. So I recommend watching Stella Young's piece, I'm Not Your Inspiration, Thank You Very Much, before you read this inspiration porn piece. And so she discusses and names inspiration porn. And so that will give you some context before you jump into the weekly readings. This piece is a group of individuals with disabilities who are watching popular culture movies or shows and talking about them. So this accompanies the pieces on media as well. All right, and then as normal, you have a weekly discussion and a quiz. This week, you also have your third application assignment. So this is a fun assignment. I'd like for you to pick a movie or a TV series and one that specifically has a character with a disability, and I'd like for you to analyze that movie. It can be, or a TV show. It can be one that you've never watched before, or maybe it's one that you've watched many times, but can rewatch with a more critical lens after exploring the content that we've been diving into for the past 5 weeks. And so I'd like for you to watch this piece, take notes, be really critical as you watch, and specifically focusing in on how this character is being portrayed. And then I'd like for you to answer the questions here in a one-page reflection. I also have linked the projects looking ahead, so you'll have one more application assignment. Of course, we've been talking about your action project, and now that you have finished My Body Politic, if you'd like to jump ahead, you can get started on your book reflection project, and I'll have more information on those in next week's overview video. As always, please let me know if I can help you, and I hope you have a really great week. Take care.